All right, Herc, a million ways to break down this first match of the qualifying cycle for the U.S. Let's start first by analyzing not the performance, but the result itself. A scoreless draw away against El Salvador in the first of three. Are you satisfied with it?
Satisfied wouldn't be necessarily the word. It's acceptable, right? It's this road formula. You steal away and you secure points at home. So if we're going by that formula off a team that didn't qualify last World Cup because they failed to secure points at home, because they failed to steal points away, then yeah, by that standard, I wouldn't say satisfied, but it's an acceptable result. So yeah, acceptable.
I mean, isn't this the most talented generation of U.S. players ever? Isn't it also the most accomplished at club level of all time? At some point, don't we have to up the expectations a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's be honest, as much credit as we want to give...
Club level?
Yes, at club level, by far. That's not even up for debate. Let's give Hugo Perez and El Salvador all the credit that you want. There's not a single player, Herc, in that team that's getting anywhere near the U.S. 11, the U.S. 18, the U.S. 26 for these games. I mean, you are so obsessed with where guys play. You wanted Ethan Horvath, who hardly plays, to start over Matt Turner. El Salvador has 0 players playing top-flight football in Europe. Not top-5 league football, top-flight football in Europe. When you have such a decided advantage as the U.S. does in talent there, shouldn't the expectation be to win? If not with that kind of advantage, when will it be to win?
Well, you just said it there. Individual, club. What have they done collectively as a group, performance-wise, that you would say, you know what, they leave me at ease, and I think they can cruise through CONCACAF qualifying, which no team does, not even Mexico. Mexico's won once in the last 5 World Cup cycles. They finished first place one time, and that's the most dominant team in this region. Now, when you look at these club players who play at very good clubs, they've not done anything at the national team level. No Christian Pulisic, no Zach Steffen. They go into a World Cup qualifier in El Salvador where you can see the nerves got to them. There was only 2 players with World Cup qualifying experience. One is Tim Ream. The other one is DeAndre Yedlin, who was probably the worst on the field yesterday. You can see these players collectively aren't great. They're a bunch of individuals. And when you look at this summer, Seb, when you look at the CONCACAF Nations League finals, Honduras, very shaky game. They go through, play Mexico, an even shakier game that they managed to pull out. Then go off to the Gold Cup where they didn't convince at all. This team left no sensation in me where I thought, you know what, they can easily go into El Salvador and get a good result. A result that's 3 points or more. Certainly not a 9-point week like many of the players are talking about. I think this team is a good bunch of individuals, but they've not been a good team.
You mentioned the collective performance. You mentioned some of the individual performances. Let's be honest, the stars in this game didn't play like stars. Weston McKennie didn't play like a Juventus player. Sergino Dest didn't look like a Barcelona player playing against CONCACAF competition. I mean, that's a really big concern. Those performances weren't there. What about the performance of the manager? What do we think of what Gregg Berhalter did? Herc, there were some big decisions in this game. Do you feel like he got them right in that 11?
I don't know about the decisions for the 11 because at the end you got that point result. But as far as the management, I was really surprised at the approach of the U.S. men's national team. It's supposed to be a team that's on the front foot, that pressures and puts teams into precarious situations to give up the ball so that you can use your transition game and attack. That wasn't there. And then you speak about that midfield. Tyler Adams plays at Leipzig. Weston McKennie plays at Juventus. You had Brendan Aronson in that midfield, who was a surprise. And they never had the ball. It was the center backs had it or the outside backs had it, and all of a sudden it was Route 1 football to a Josh Sargent that was really non-existent, had one of his worst games that I can recall in recent memory. A Gio Reyna that was more an individualist with Conrad de la Fuente as well. Conrad de la Fuente, very much a predictable player in this game, always starting on the left-hand side, cutting into his right. Salvadoran defense knew exactly what he was going to do. It was very predictable performance, but you talk about the talent level here. It was never on display because they never got a chance. They lost possession at ease. We can give Hugo Perez and this El Salvadorian team a lot of credit, but they did it with just being disciplined tactically. They did it with pretty much crowd support. They did it with the elements, the field, the heat, what made you that is CONCACAF, but it was very easy. When it talk about these individual performances from the U.S. men's national team, just weren't there. I could maybe point 1 or 2 that showed us flashes, but in general, as a whole, it was a very poor performance.
Yeah, something else that's disappointing is I feel like the U.S. got off to a good start. And yet whatever advantage they had in those first 15 or 20 minutes when there were some chances against El Salvador, they never seemed to get it back. I don't know if that's Hugo Perez getting one over on Gregg Berhalter or if that's just an adjustment that happens on the field. But either way, U.S. had an advantage early on, didn't capitalize on it, but never regained that advantage through the rest of the game. Let's look ahead then to Sunday, Herc, the match against Canada. Is it now a must-win coming off this result?
It was always a must-win because it's a home game. It's a home game versus a Canadian team that's on the up because they feel good about themselves, because they've got a lot of young talent coming through the pipeline, because they got a lot of players playing in Europe, because it's a different side of Canada that we've never seen. So it was always going to be a must-win game. Now, you drop points if you're thinking about that 9-point week away in El Salvador, absolutely, because at home you're supposed to secure the 3 points. And then after that, it's San Pedro Sula, where you know the U.S. men's national team has always suffered. I've been there personally. It's not an easy venue to play in. Honduras is one of those teams that you never know what kind of team you're going to get. It's very Jekyll and Hyde. They've got a lot of players that can hurt you in transition. But this Canadian team, they could definitely hurt you. They've done it before. For all these 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 results that you've had against Canada in the past, it's not the same Canadian team. This Gold Cup, they completely dominated you, and yet you got the win. It's wins like that that paper over the cracks that have some of the fan base really drinking the Kool-Aid and believing this team is really better than it is. They've shown a lot of times in competitive games that they've not been up to the snuff. They get the results, which is great, I guess, but if Gregg Berhalter and this new regime comes in and says we're going to play a very proactive, possession-based game, we're going to be on the front foot, we're going to high press, we're going to be dominant 9-point weeks, we've not seen that. We've not seen that not only against El Salvador, but we didn't see this the whole summer. And everybody tells you that hasn't been the case, they're lying to you. They got the results. That is great. But they got the results the way of the old U.S. men's national teams, of being very difficult to play against, difficult to break down, of countering, of being dependent on set pieces, that fight, that spirit. They got it that way, not the way that we're being sold.
Herc, the team said a 9-point week. What did you say? 5?
I said 5. I said 5 because it's not that easy. And these players have never played. And you saw Sergino Dest. Sergino Dest didn't look like a Barcelona player. Sergino Dest looked like Timothy Chandler and San Pedro Sula in 2013 in that World Cup qualifying campaign. This is a different animal, and say what you will, it's not a billiards table they're playing on. These are difficult elements. The grass is up to your knees. It's very humid. It's very hot. The fan base is on top of you. The opponent is suffocating. The football, the brand, is oftentimes very physical. It's not ideal or conducive to play like this beautiful football that the fan base all of a sudden expects. Now, I know what you're saying. These players played the Champions League. How difficult can CONCACAF be? Well, there you go.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.